What should a landlord do about a holdover tenant and potential self-help eviction issues? Have you ever wondered what steps a landlord should take when a tenant stays beyond their lease? This situation can be tricky, especially when it comes to holdover tenants. A holdover tenant is someone who remains in a rental property after their lease has expired, either with or without paying rent. Managing these tenants properly is essential for real estate investors. It protects your investment, keeps cash flow steady, and ensures you comply with legal requirements. First, it is vital to understand the tenant's status. If the tenant continues to pay rent and the landlord accepts it, this may create a new tenancy, sometimes called a tenancy at sufferance. This means the tenant remains without explicit permission but with implied consent. If the tenant stays without paying rent or landlord consent, they are considered a trespasser. Now, let's discuss what a landlord should do about a holdover tenant. The first step is to avoid self-help eviction. Self-help eviction means trying to remove a tenant without going through the legal eviction process. This includes actions like changing locks, shutting off utilities, or physically removing the tenant. Such actions are illegal in most places and can lead to lawsuits and penalties. Real estate investors should never attempt self-help eviction, even if the tenant is a holdover. Next, the landlord must serve the holdover tenant with a formal notice to vacate. The type and timing of this notice depend on local laws. Generally, it includes a notice of lease termination or expiration, a notice to pay rent or quit if the tenant has not paid, and a notice specifying the deadline to vacate along with the consequences of noncompliance. Serving notice is a critical step before filing for eviction. If the landlord wants the tenant to leave, they should refuse to accept rent payments. Accepting rent after the lease expires can imply consent for the tenant to stay, complicating eviction efforts. Clear communication that the tenancy is terminated is essential. If the tenant does not leave after receiving notice, the landlord must file an eviction lawsuit in court. This legal process ensures the landlord can regain possession lawfully. The court may award possession and possibly damages, such as double rent for the holdover period, depending on state laws. It is also important for landlords to understand local laws and lease terms. Eviction procedures and tenant rights vary by state and sometimes by city. Some leases include specific holdover clauses that define what happens if the tenant stays beyond the lease term. Familiarity with these rules helps investors avoid costly mistakes. In summary, landlords should handle holdover tenants by following legal eviction procedures, avoiding illegal self-help methods, and using clear communication and proper notices. This approach protects the landlord's investment, reduces risk, and ensures compliance with tenant laws. Managing holdover tenants professionally is part of effective property management and risk mitigation for real estate investors.